Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. Welcome back to my Careers podcast, where I interview amazing professionals who have made fascinating career changes. Now, today I have the pleasure of speaking to Karen Sander, who is an author, speaker, mentor, and lover of life. Karen's a baby boomer who loves life. Her life's journey has been one of many high roads and some low roads. However, she now feels she's in the very best place she's ever been. Her early years were spent as a teacher, which helped her to gather important skills necessary for the many reinventions of herself. In her early 30s, she became a studio teacher on set with the children who were leads in TV and film roles. Then she transitioned into something completely different, into pharmaceutical industry, focusing on pharmaceutical sales. Now, Karen is the author of the book Aging Fearlessly for Women. Why did she write this book? Well, it's because it's inevitable that we age, but it is a choice to grow old. There's a huge difference between aging and growing old, and her mission is to help women to age with vitality and fun instead of growing old. And Karen plans to age fearlessly herself as opposed to aging in fear. Now, she's a regular interviewer on Joy's World on TBS Channel 44, and she's been interviewed on radio stations including 2UE, 6PR, 3AW, Curtin Radio, and Capital Radio. She's also been published in Body and Soul magazine and Prevention magazines. And so now let's meet this fascinating woman who is aging fearlessly and find out how her career journey has led her to being the amazing woman she is now, who still swims competitively, pole dances, and grabs life in both hands and runs with it. So welcome to the podcast, Karen.
Thanks, Jane, and it's a real pleasure to be here.
I'm delighted to have you on board, and I've been looking forward to finding all about your career journey, because you've done so many different things, not only professionally but also personally. You've got some really interesting pastimes, so we'll find out a little bit about that later. But how about, to kick us off, let's find out about your early days and what sort of career did you dream about when you were a teenager?
In my early days, I grew up in La Perouse, which was a Little Bay. It was a very, very new area in Sydney with lots and lots of young families. And not just as a teenager, but right from when I started school, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be that person that looked after the class and did the lessons, and I just admired teachers. So, yeah, it was just such a strong focus for me that was what I was going to do.
And so you got into teaching after you graduated. And what age group did you teach?
I mainly taught year 3 to year 6. I preferred the older primary children rather than what we used to call the infants department. Now they just call it K to 12. K to 12 for the whole education program, but K to 6 in those early years of school. But I was much more suited to the children as they were a little bit more independent and grown up.
I guess as they get a little bit older too, you can sort of mold their minds and become more of a mentor as well as a teacher to them.
Yeah, and, I think certain people just have the right attributes for teaching younger children. You have to be a very special person to teach the really young children, and I take my hat off to them because it's not my forte.
But after a few years of teaching, I know that you became a studio teacher, which is an interesting term because I hadn't come across that before. And then you were teaching children who were leads in TV and film roles. So what's being a studio teacher all about?
Well, for the purpose of this interview, I've called it a studio teacher because That's a USA term, a US term, and that's what they call their on-set teachers. We just call them, the teacher on set, or we don't really have a specific name for it. So when children are young actors in their school years, they're taken often out of school. And if there's more than a 4-day period over 12 months, the person or the company that's employing them has to have a teacher on set with them to help them learn as they would in school so that they don't get behind. And that was the role I did.
Oh, okay. I mean, fascinating. So with this role, were they all local Australian children, and were you teaching them in Australia, or was there a bit of travel involved as well?
So a lot of the time they were local children and the productions were here in Australia. However, I taught a couple of British children in a series, an ABC series called Leaving of Liverpool, and the children came from Manchester, and there was a young teenage boy and a young teenage girl, and they were here in Australia for about 6 months, and we worked out in what is now in Borkham Hills. There's the big, it was a big quarry, and now it's a big communal centre and housing and businesses. And then we went from there to Lightning Ridge, and we filmed up around Lightning Ridge. And so that was a very interesting time there as well. But other children I worked with all over Europe in kids series called Spellbinder and Mission Top Secret. And we did co-productions with Australia, co-productions with Poland, England, China, Switzerland, Germany, France, and Spain. So I got to travel there.
That's so interesting. I mean, that's a different take on teaching altogether, because I know quite a number of teachers who are based here in Australia, and sometimes you can apply for roles overseas, but then you work, for a school, say in Hong Kong or in Singapore or wherever. But this one is a studio teacher and following the kids around so that they get their education while they're working, because they're young professionals in their own right. That's quite a varied and interesting life for you. So when you transitioned out of teaching, I know you transitioned into the pharmaceutical industry. Now, what was your motivation for that? Tell me a bit about that.
After 10 years in the film industry, I decided enough was enough and that I would come back and get what most people have, which is a real job. And I know that's a funny term, but you feel like when you're working in the film industry that a lot of it was contract and you were here one day, gone the next. And life was a juggling, you had to have the skill of juggling. And I decided that I'd had enough. So I came back. For the first 4 years I was back, I did corporate relocations, which I won't go into now, and I did a lot of casual teaching to support myself while I found out what it was I really wanted to do. And I ended up in the pharmaceutical industry in sales, not particularly sales of products like, the products you see on the shelf in a pharmacy, but more services such as marketing and planogramming and all things to do with running a pharmacy. Yeah, so it was interesting, and it's been a really fantastic 15 years.
Okay, now the pharmaceutical industry is one that I haven't worked in before. So tell us a little bit about being in pharmaceutical or pharmaceutical services sales. How does that work?
Well, it's a very, very regulated industry, and there are 3 major wholesalers that supply all the pharmacies. So I work for one of those wholesalers, and I'm the link between our wholesale division and our pharmacies. So talking and engaging with my clients, my pharmacists, and helping them with all of their needs. So they ask me questions sometimes, well, I need to sell my pharmacy. Who do I speak to? Or I want to buy another pharmacy. Who will I speak to? They're thinking about a brand, whether it be Priceline or Pattinson or any brand that they would like to join, to help market and run their business. So that's the sort of things that I do. So, you know, you feel like when you're working in the film industry that a lot of it was contract and you were here one day, gone the next. And life was a juggling, you had to have the skill of juggling. So I decided that I'd had enough. So I came back. For the first 4 years I was back. I did corporate relocations, which I won't go into now. And I did a lot of casual teaching to support myself while I found out what it was I really wanted to do. I always say I'm like a jack of all trades in this industry because you have to know a lot about a lot of things. Yeah.
And so you've done that for quite a number of years. So you've had quite a few transitions now in your life. And as a baby boomer, so we can assume that you're over 50. Am I allowed to say that, Karen? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're over 50.
Proudly over 50. Proudly over 50.
Okay, wonderful. So as a baby boomer, you at school, you graduated, you became a teacher. Then you found something really exciting in teaching and became a studio teacher, which took you all over the world. Then you came back, you did corporate relocations for a while, and then you transitioned into the pharmaceutical industry, focusing on pharmaceutical service sales. And now you have a completely different business of your own called Aging Fearlessly. So you've had a number of reinventions, which is really interesting, to my listeners, because it's all about careers and career paths. And you've also written a book. So what I really want to focus on is you've now gone into like an entrepreneurial venture of your own. Tell us a bit about Aging Fearlessly.
So Aging Fearlessly, the business, the title, I absolutely love. And as you mentioned first in your introduction about, aging is inevitable and growing old is a choice. So now as baby boomers, there's so many of us that are baby boomers who are trying to live a different life to the one that our parents lived. We have many more things that we have access to. The world is changing so fast, but some people are stuck and they sort of see themselves as old. And I look at life about in a way of push the boundaries. You don't have to be old. Old to me is, it's like giving up. But we have so much to offer. We have so much to offer the younger generation in terms of not just wisdom, but knowledge, even in the workplace. We are able to mentor and teach the younger generation a lot of skills that we have developed over our years of work. We are very, we're experts a lot of us are experts in what we do. So, yeah, I want to focus on helping people to embrace that and live that and not give up and get old.
Have you found a lot of people, they reach a certain age and they start to think that they're too old? I remember I had one client in the early 2000s. He was 52 when he came to me, and he goes, "Oh, Jane, I'm one of the greys. I'm too old to get another job." And I'm going, "You're only 52, and I'm older than that now." So it's like, I mean, how ridiculous. I think it's all in your attitude as well. And so if you think, "Oh, I'm a certain age, and oh, I've got to act in a certain way," then it really does limit you, doesn't it? And so obviously you've tapped into a market where there are people who are getting older and they don't want to start to act their age as such, and they want to do so much more. So for you, you've got this business, Aging Fearlessly. You've written a book called Aging Fearlessly for Women. Can you tell me a bit about what's covered in your book?
Yeah, so when I wrote the book, I was always passionate about looking after myself and skincare and health and fitness. And I can't quite get the words there, Jane, but yeah, I wasn't fanatical about it, but it's very important to me in my life. So the book came about of things that I've done. Like, I'm fair-skinned. I lived on the beach. I should never have come south of the equator. My skin is so white. And at 22 or 3, I was having my first sunspots burnt off because I spent my time smothered in baby oil on the beach. So the book, I talk about looking after yourself and knowing your body and going to the doctor and having checkups. I also talk about finding things you're passionate about in sport and with community. Don't just go and do something because you need to get fit, meaning go to the gym and do a routine exercise. If there's something you can find you love, like I love swimming, so I've joined a really fantastic ocean swimming group and I love it. And the people are great. So I surround myself with people that are passionate, and I go there just to get a piece of them as well as get fit. And I talk about colour and style, which I know you are very au fait with, about how you look and how you are perceived by others. and attitude, relaxation, all those key important things that make you a whole and healthy person.
So really, it's not so much about age; it's about embracing life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of
Absolutely.
your age. So whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, or even your 70s, it's keeping fit, keeping healthy, keeping interested in things that's so important.
Yes, and in writing the book, my business was born, and I really love the title Aging Fearlessly because truthfully, what other choice do you have? You can age fearlessly or you can age in fear. And I know my choice.
Yeah. And it's going to happen anyway, so you may as well be fearless and enjoy. Now, I think, I mean, swimming competitively, I know you get up really early in the mornings and you throw yourself into freezing cold water with a bunch of people, and you swim and you keep really fit that way. It must be. Do you ever find it a little bit hard in the mornings to get up and go and do it?
Oh man, do you know, I'll tell you, I hit the alarm button, the snooze, at least 4 times before I get up. But that's torture, really. If you get up, a friend of mine once told me, and he was a sports coach, as soon as your alarm goes off, sit up, swing your feet out of bed, and the hard part's done.
Yeah, actually,
I don't take his advice very well. I still bash the alarm. But, you know, I know that when I get there, I will have such a great time. And I come out with the biggest smile on my face. And I've seen fish and I've seen my friends. And I know there's a hot cup of coffee waiting for me at the end. That's my reason.
And I think getting an early morning start and doing something that's healthy and it's fun, it really sets you on your way for the rest of the day, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And swimming is quite meditative. So the mornings that I swim, I don't meditate. In actual fact, I'm meditating through the whole 1,500-meter swim over and back because I'm in tune with my breathing. I can just see water, and your vision's not, you know, your mind just goes in amazing places when you're out there. And it's very relaxing. And hence the smile at the end, it's almost like, I can't explain where it comes from. It's just there.
I think it's the fact that your body has just done something that's so good for it as well. And I know you live not far from Manly, so you must be swimming at Manly.
Yes.
Most of the time, and that's one of the world's just most beautiful beaches. So I just love that area. Now, there's something else that you do as well as an aging fearlessly woman, is that you've taken up pole dancing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell me about pole dancing.
I'm a sad pole dancer. I am okay at the move. I am a shocker at the dance.
Oh, come on. I've seen pictures of you upside down, legs wrapped around poles and doing all sorts of things and wearing skimpy clothing. I mean, you are such a fearless woman. You do incredible things. And honestly, if anyone meets Karen face to face, you just think, wow, you've had a really good life. You're continuing to have a good life. You get into absolutely everything. And Karen's been featured in lots of different newspapers as well. And Manly Daily loves Karen because there are all these pictures of her hanging off a pole, legs in the air, doing all sorts of amazing things. And so what made you get into that in the first place?
Oh, because I could. When I was 54, when I was 53, I had a knee reconstruction from a skiing accident, which was 4 or 5 years earlier. I was given advice of not to have my knee reconstructed back then. But because I'm fairly sporty, it was a real hindrance to everything I did. So I made the big, bold decision to have the reconstruction, which really put me out of work for 9 months in terms of sport. When you swim, you're not allowed to kick your legs because you can ruin the graft put in, all sorts of things. So, but I promised myself that once I was healed, I would have a go at pole dancing because then it was just really becoming a sport. And I was dying to try it. And I joined a group of girls called the Golden Girls. And they were 3 women at a studio called Vertica Dance at the Northern Beaches. And we're all quite over 50. And we had so much fun learning to walk around the pole, learning to climb the pole, learning to do knee spins, just simple things. And I fell in love with it. And I eventually had to move on from the Golden Girls and just join mainstream classes to improve.
So roundabout in your mid-50s, you went from the Golden Girls pole dancing to mainstream pole dancing.
Yes, and
good on you.
I'm not a competitor in pole dancing because I don't believe someone wants to really see me competing up a pole. But I have amazing young friends that I've met who inspire me and help me. I've got young girls that now have young babies that I've met as through pole dancing, and they're wonderful. And they support me in all I do, and I support them. And I'm the auntie to their babies now. But Kerry Ann Kennelly invited me on her program to be with another one of the girls, Karen, to be in Seniors Week. And we just turned 55, so we were officially seniors. And that was very funny to be pole dancing on Seniors Week in the on Kerry Ann Kennelly's morning program. Oh, that was a sight to behold, I'm sure.
Oh, that would have been so much fun. I'd love to see a recording of that. I hope you've got a recording of it.
Oh, I think so.
Okay. I might have to broadcast that all over social media. Okay. Be proud of it because you're the fearless woman. That's amazing.
Oh.
So you swim competitively, you pole dance. What else? You write books. You are in pharmaceutical sales still. What else do you do, Karen?
I go to lots of trainings. My ambition is to improve my speaking skills and become a public speaker for, as a partial career move. I'm doing a lot towards that at the moment. I get some speaking gigs out there. And whenever someone says, do you want to present? I have a 3-letter word, YES, and I do it because there's nothing more exciting than being able to get up and present and to improve your skills and to face an audience and to face your fears. And yeah, that's just me. I love to study. I love to learn. I find courses. In fact, I went to a course, a Rise and Shine breakfast the other day with women who are stepping out of their comfort zone. So yeah, I do stuff like that all the time. And next year, I hope to run some workshops of my own and then work towards running some retreats for women, firstly, and men can join in at some time in the future. But aging's not just all about women. It's all about men too, but men tend to have a different agenda with it.
Yeah, I think I guess for women, there's so much on, like beauty and, how to take care of your skin and what about your hair, and a lot of it is quite visual, and of course you need to take care of that as well. And I know that in your book you also talk about how you can take care of, like the visual signs of aging, as well as internally stay really positive and focused and staying healthy and interested in learning new things, which is what actually keeps you feeling young, isn't it?
Yes, and I also talk about posture. And I think that posture is a really big part of, it tells a lot about what's happening inside. And if you're standing tall and standing proud, people see that. And it also makes you feel good on the inside. So I practice, and I must say, the big thing for me about pole dancing, it changed my posture. It made me consciously think about how I was standing. So yeah, all these little things you do, and it's not the things I do, but the things you do, are all adding up to, to your persona and how you appear and how you show yourself, as in, what the world sees.
What would you say are your top 3 tips for aging fearlessly?
To love yourself, to be confident, and to press your boundaries, to push your boundaries, to step outside your comfort zone, and to not ever, the word not, you know, or can't do, the word can't, I should say, shouldn't enter your vocabulary, because, you know, there's things today that I can't do right now, but if I push myself and take it one step at a time, baby steps, I can do it later on. Maybe I can't do it like, you know, a fantastically competitive pole dancer, but I can learn the skills to get there. You know, so it's like anything. It's like when a baby learns to walk, they start crawling, or they roll, then they start pushing around, then they crawl, and then they eventually get up and walk and fall over, and then they walk more. So the same goes for everything you've got to do in life, Jane. It all starts at the beginning.
Yeah, I think the thing is it's a lot of trial and error, and you think, okay, well, let me give it a go. If it doesn't quite work out, I'll do it slightly differently.
Well,
if that doesn't work out, I'll do it differently again.
Sorry to interrupt. Did Thomas Edison say it took 10,000 failures before he got a working light bulb? Something along that.
Yeah, it was like 1,000 failures and the 1,000th one worked.
Yeah, so, you know, like anything, if you give up because you can't do something, and I'd like to just throw in an example here. Many of the people come to our swimming group and they're fearful of the waves, they're fearful of sharks, they're fearful of their ability to swim the distance. But you know what? I've seen so many people after a year or 2 years come out and they've just done a double, which is 3Ks or 6Ks or 10Ks. And you know what? They go, you know, so long ago I couldn't have even dreamed that I could have done this. And look at me now, and they stand up. We all celebrate with them. We celebrate when someone reaches 1,000 kilometres on their log. You know, we do, you know, it's about celebrating all those little achievements. So anybody can do anything. I've had non-swimmers that have been learning to swim so they can do a triathlon, because it's the one part of the regime they can't do.
Fantastic. Yeah. What's the group that you swim with? Because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who'd be really interested to find out more.
The Bold and the Beautiful at Manly, and they're actually featured, I think, this month in Prevention magazine as well, the magazine I was in last month. And they were also in Body and Soul about 4 or 5 weeks ago. But it's an amazing, inclusive group. And yeah, so there is a website for the Bold and Beautiful Manly. It's not the ones that are on TV doing the great acting, you know, every 5 p.m. that my mum tells me about on weekdays. No, but an amazing bunch of people.
The Bold and the Beautiful in Manly. What a wonderful name.
Yes, and there's young kids swim, and there's people of all ages swim. Some people just come to have a go once or twice because they're travelling through from other countries.
Oh,
pretty good.
How amazing. Okay, so Karen, if people want to find you, where would they find you?
Well, I have a website, which is www.agingfearlessly.com.au. Now, aging with an E, A-G-E-I-N-G. That's the Australian-Canadian spelling. And I also have a Facebook page called Women Aging Fearlessly, and another Facebook page called Aging Fearlessly, where I post pictures and little quotes and comments. And if they would like to email me, I'm at Karen@agingfearlessly.com.
So no .au at the end of that?
So, yeah.
Karen@agingfearlessly.com.
Yes.
And so your website is agingfearlessly.com.au.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll have all of that on my show notes in janejacksoncoach.com in the podcast section. So also we need to find out about your book. Where can people find your book?
So if you go to my website, you can click on the link and there's a PayPal option, and I will mail it out to you. Or you can go to Dymocks, you can go to QBD bookshops, or all good bookshops. They will order it in for you if they don't have it. If you're ever passing through the airport, it's at the airport bookshops. And it's such an easy read. You could read it on the plane, Sydney to Melbourne return.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've read the book, Karen, and I got lots of great tips about how to age fearlessly.
Oh.
So I've put some into practice. I haven't started the pole dancing yet.
Well, I'm going to have to get another group together, Jane, because I did do a winter swimmers group this year that begged me, and it was very impromptu, but I would love to get another group together to come and have a play on a pole.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to have a play on a pole. I'm happy to have a play on a pole, no problem.
Well, we'll get a group together and we'll go and age fearlessly on a pole.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so thanks for those top 3 tips as well. First tip is to love yourself. Second one, to be confident. And 3 is to push the boundaries and get outside your comfort zone, because that's where we learn. Yes. So thank you so much, Karen. It's been lovely talking to you. I wish you all the best with your book and with your retreats that you'll be setting up next year, and also all of the public speaking gigs that are getting booked in now. And I'm going to go and Google Kerry Ann Kennelly and see if I can find you up a pole.
Well, you'll have to go back to 1955. No, that was even before I was born. So when I was 55. So... Jane, 4 years ago, and it was a morning show. So, have a look. And it's around March was those editions. So it was fun, but man, don't put it on public. Oh, dear. Some of the things you do in life.
But you know what? You've led such a rich life. It's been so interesting hearing about, your career transitions as well. And now it just sounds like you're having so much fun. You've got your own business as well as, still working on the pharmaceutical sales, which sounds really interesting too. You've got your book, and we're going to be seeing you on the public speaking circuit next year. So wonderful. Thank you again, Karen. And anyone who wants to find Karen, agingfearlessly.com.au. And thanks for listening, everybody. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.